Welcome to Duality Gamecast, the show for people who love to play games.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the best gosh darn video cast filmed in this room right here. My name is William Creel. With me, as always, is Matt Robinson. Hey, everybody. And you're with the Duality Gamecast. Now, we like to talk about games, we like to talk about games, and sometimes we like to talk about games.
Games are good.
Yeah. So we like to start out each session with talking about what we've played recently. So let's just kick right into that instead of wasting time trying to think of other things to say. Matt, what have we been playing recently?
Well, I don't want to come out of the gate big, but I'm gonna. We played Scythe. Scythe. Fantastic new game from Stonemaier Games that I kickstarted. Got the super deluxe version. We have an unboxing video here or there. Just go watch it. It's fantastic. Over the top components, gorgeous art.
Yes.
And a really unique sort of area control Euro-y game that has military. It has combat in it, but it's almost like a Cold War kind of thing. The military is almost just there to sort of create the tension and to keep people in check. The last time we played was a 4-player game, and there was one battle in the whole game. And normally a game, it has big old mechs stomping around. Normally in a game like that, people would probably be a little irritated that they only had one battle. But it was totally awesome because in this game, that sort of tension and the threat of force works really well.
Right, because you're taking actions basically on your own little board and you're moving around on a bigger tactical board. And the fact that combat can happen makes you scared to go out and expand and do too much stuff without being protected. But at the same time, when people attack you, they like disrupt your people that are working, they lose favor with the popularity with the actual populace. So it has this cool thing where you really do feel like you're almost like a evil government. You're like putting people out just like in a way to be like, well, go ahead and attack me. Yeah, you can come in here, but look at all these innocents that you're hurting.
Yeah.
It has a really interesting mechanic. And yeah, the combat, everything about it, it's very Euro feeling. But at the same time, there's big mechs you're running around. And you do feel, or I do feel, like it kind of hits a lot of points. I mean, there's the story aspect of it. You have a hero character that can run around and kind of, there's small little stories that you get involved with, and you have to make decisions, and those impact like your gameplay. Yeah. There's the mechs, which are actually really in the game. They're more like mass troop transports, kind of, because I use them, or that's what I usually use them for, is to move like my people across rivers and big areas. And then there's the actual like board action placement thing. There's a lot just going on with it, and it all works. And it's one of those games that, like, one of the games I think we both like, Russian Railroads. Yeah. That game has different avenues you can take, but it's basically 4 tracks, and you're picking which one of those 4 tracks you want to kind of progress on. Scythe is not at all like that. There's lots of avenues to pick, but it isn't like a branch of a tree you're going down. It's just there's these 20 different things you can do. Do any of them to any amount, whatever seems appropriate for you. Everybody's players are unique. Yeah. The actions you can take, it's just there's a lot going on there. Hopefully we'll get a real meaty review up for it soon. Definitely. Because I think you probably already guessed what we might be like voting on it, but I think
take a deeper dive.
Yeah, really go into the gameplay. Let's see, what else have we played recently? Traders of Osaka, is that the name of it?
Traders of Osaka.
A little fun trading card game where it's kind of has some push your luck elements a little bit to it, because you're pushing these ships up a coast and there's 4 different goods. And if ships get close to their final goal, but one ship makes it first, the ones that are closest get pushed back and you lose all those goods. Yeah. So it's basically you're bidding on cards, or you're picking cards the whole time. It has a really fun mechanic in it where you can lock a card in as being something that only you can purchase, but in a way that opens it up for other people to be able to take other actions around that. It's hard to explain short without having all the stuff here in front of me, but it's super competitive, and every time we played it, I think we played it differently.
Yeah, it's a unique card game because the cards can either be put in your hand and they become money that you bid with, or you buy goods with, or you buy the goods, which are those same cards, and put them out in front of you, and those are goods you're shipping. There's 4 ships, like William mentioned, one of each of 4 different colors, which match the 4 different colors of goods. So if the blue boat makes it all the way to the end harbor, anyone with blue goods gets to sell them, and then they collect victory points from those sales. But some ships can get sunk. They also have little insurance markers. Some of the goods will have insurance markers on them that you can cash in to save some of your goods from being sunk.
Which you seem to make way better use of that action than I do, I think.
I try, but then I also lose the game, so it doesn't really matter. It's really unique, and it's a small box, super portable. It's a good little game.
And it seems to scale up well. I mean, we played it a ton 2 players. I think we like it 2 players. It has a very different mechanic. Feels very different with 3 and 4 people.
Yeah, it does, for sure. So we also played Orleans.
Oh, yes. The bag building game.
The bag building game. And this was a game that, was it maybe about 2 years ago? I was talking about how much I wanted, and then last year I finally got it. Really neat game. It's safe to call it a Euro, right?
Most definitely, yes.
Medieval sort of setting. You start with a bag with, I think it's 4 workers.
Yes.
1 each of 4 different types. And then everybody has their own action board.
Which are the same.
And you allocate those worker types to different actions on the board, and different actions require different mixes of workers. And a lot of those actions will buy you more workers of different types, which you add to your bag, and then each turn you're drawing from your bag to get more workers out to play. There's also this really neat map sideboard to the game, which is a trading routes around Orleans, with all these cities on them, and they have trade goods on the routes. And part of the game is moving your trader, meeple, along those routes, and as they go, they pick up goods, which will be victory points at the end of the game. All the victory points is all money, so it's, goods are worth money.
Money's worth money.
You can get money in the game. There's also another board, which is sort of like the go work at the church board, that you can sack your workers to. Basically, you dedicate them to improve the city.
It's like trashing a card in Dominion type of an idea, but you actually get a bonus for it.
It's thinning out your bag is really what it's for, I would say, but it gives you gold, or in some cases, some tech advancements. And if it has different tracks on it. If you complete a whole track, you can actually get a citizen, which is just a multiplier of victory points at the end of the game. So it has a lot of different ways to go. You can go heavy trading. You can mechanize your trading board because there's automation.
That's my favorite thing to do.
That's your favorite thing to do to make everything more efficient. You can buy these development tiles, which are basically new actions that only you can use. It's a really cool game, and what I really is many options as you have in the game. It's not like a really long game.
Yeah, I mean it's not like a 30-minute game, but
no.
It's not a 3-hour game.
Yeah, maybe hour and a half if you're teaching people. One thing I would say about this game and Scythe too was when we first rolled it out, because recently we taught 2 new people how to play both of these games. When we first rolled them out, they were like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then you get like 1 or 2 turns into it, and they're like, "All right, I think I have the swing of this."
I think you said even more with Scythe, because or Scythe, whatever,
Scythe.
I'll say it my way. But because there's so many components, you have 2 player boards, you have units on the board, you have mechs you can buy, you have tech upgrades. Yeah. There's all this stuff going on, and you're like, oh my goodness, like but really you're choosing 1 or 4 actions every turn, and it's really clean and simple to do. But there's so much that until you get over that hump, it's all very overwhelming feeling. And I think Orleans does the same thing, but at least you're given you're given a board, and you're like, these are the actions you can take. Yeah. You're like, okay, I think I can figure this out. What I like about it is that basically most of the actions on your board acquire another unit, another guy to go in your bag. Right. But when you acquire that guy, it advances a track somewhere else that changes how you play. So you might be buying guys that increase your hand size, but you don't want to use them in the game, so you're trying to figure out ways to burn.
Yeah, and then there's a tech tree, which can affect your victory points. All kinds of cool stuff.
So, let me think. There was something else I know, Specter Ops.
Specter Ops, yeah.
Yeah, and we have a review for that.
Yeah, we do.
We'll check that out right here. And you know what? I'm trying to think of anything else that we've played over the last month. Those are, I mean, we play a lot of those multiple times.
Right. Well, we did play 2 new games that I picked up on a recent vacation.
Yes.
I got Bear Valley from Stronghold Games, which is by Carl Chuddik, who is the maker of Innovation and the game I can never say right, Matanai. And he's made other stuff too, which is a very push your luck. It's Campers Lost in the Woods is the theme, and it's a push your luck game where you're playing out cards to make paths to find your way from one camp to the finished camp. And there's all kinds of different path cards. There's rivers and lakes and forests and mountains and bears that can at least scare you, but if you're really pushing your luck, even eat you. Each hiker has their own like positive and negative sort of thing that comes with them. And it has a really unique gameplay mechanism. Every turn you theoretically have unlimited actions, and your actions could either be to explore a new space and lay out a card, or move through an already explored card, and you're following paths. You always have to follow paths. And every action you take, you call it an hour. You start with 1 o'clock, and you go on from there, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, etc. And it has some weird things that can happen. So, for instance, if you ran into a bear at 1 o'clock, you can actually sneak past it. If you ran into a dead-end tile, which has a forest, you can't get through the path at 2 o'clock, you can tunnel your way through. But then from then on, 3 o'clock and on becomes sort of a push your luck mechanic where each tile will have a certain number of exits on it, and if that exit matches the hour you're on, you got lost and you lose your turn. And if you push over 7 o'clock and you flip a bear tile, you actually get hit by the bear. I don't know, what did you think? We've played it a couple times now.
It has, like I said, it's very much a push your luck game. It's very much I guess you could put it like in the beer and pretzel vein of stuff. It's something that it has the same thing, kind of like an eking gold type feel to it. A little bit more mechanics involved there than just pushing your luck. But, I mean, I know like the last game we played, someone was at the camp next turn, they're automatically going to move there, they're going to win, and I just went for it. And I kept flipping, and I made a path all the way there and got there in one turn when normally I probably wouldn't have. And so it has that kind of fun mechanic where people can just out of the blue I'm going for it the whole way, but you can also get repeatedly stuck. So it can be frustrating for people who aren't up for or willing to accept that there's going to be times where you hit dead ends 3 turns in a row. You just have to be willing to accept that.
My only frustrating thing with it, honestly, is the same issue I have with any Carl Chuddik game. The guy thinks of things in a very different way than I think people usually do, and therefore he words his rule books oddly. Like his wording and his sentence structure and even the layout of his rule book was bizarre, and it made it difficult for me at first. I can totally play this game and teach this game now, but I've played it probably 8 times now with different groups, and so the biggest obstacle for me was the rule book.
Yeah, the rule book was huge for such a simple, small, really pretty direct game, and it seemed really hard to locate what we needed to find in it for some of the special cards. But like you said, after we played a few times, we got it all down. And the yellow game Kenjin, played that. That was an interesting game with basically you had mirror hands. You had the same exact cards for both players. And it's kind of like an area control game. We played it 2 and 3 players. You're throwing down cards basically, and they have a fighting strength. Some cards go face down, get revealed at the end of the turn. Some cards come face up and automatically have a power. There was a lot more, like you would think with a game that basically we both had the same, I don't know how many cards there was, like a dozen cards we each had. You'd think it would be pretty simple, like straightforward, but it seemed like there was a lot of stuff that got thrown in there. A lot of kind of surprises, especially when you threw in a third player. Once you got to 3 players, 2 players, there was a little bit more you can kind of read what the other person's doing. 3 players, all of a sudden, there's too much shenanigans going on because, that guy's going strong on that side. But they're fighting over there. There's cards that specifically, like, there's archers that specifically take out samurais, and samurais take out most of the other fighting units automatically without even having to compare power. So you see someone put a card face down, you're like, well, I think that's a samurai, so I want to put my archer, but then they throw their samurai over there. There's just a lot of interesting, like, trying to game each other going on in the game.
Because there's a lot of checks and balances in the cards, and since everyone has the same set of cards, you all know that everyone can do what you're trying to do. And then you have these battlefields that you're vying for control over. So you're all taking turns playing cards down to battlefields. You play 2 at a time. Some of the cards are face up when you play them, and some of them are secret, face down. But once everyone's placed everything, then you just start resolving each battlefield turn by turn by turn. And theoretically, it's just the person with the highest strength at that battlefield takes control of it, and they're worth victory points. But there's, like you said, cards that can remove other cards, and there's cards that spy and see what secret cards are out there. There's one that just kills a card but replaces it with itself.
And the battlefields themselves have some minor powers on them which can affect things.
Yeah, and it was a cute little game. Like, we played it, just you and I, and then we played it with Dylan. I don't think he was too big into it.
No, but I don't think he was going for the head up. I think that it could... I feel like it's a filler game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's good at just hopping in and being the thing that once someone plays it once, they completely understand it. Mm-hmm. You can do a little stuff with it and then move on to something else.
Right. Yeah.
And then, of course, one of our favorites, I think we talked about quite a bit, is Tiny Epic Galaxies.
Yeah.
Been playing that again recently. It's still fun.
Yeah.
Like, we keep playing it and we keep saying, oh, maybe a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of that. Every time we show someone new, they seem to almost instantly get it and they're instantly on board with the game. Yeah. And so, again, I know we've explained it tons of times, but it's a roll your dice, use the dice for specific actions. The kind of caveat to that is that other players can spend a resource point to copy one of the dice that you use. So you sometimes are looking at what other people have, and you're like, well, I'm trying to take over this planet, I need to hand in these icons to do this, but that person has the same amount of, like, what's it, politics? What's it called again?
The culture?
Yeah, culture. I always flip those. Yeah, you have culture, which lets you follow people's actions. So there will be times where you're like, well, I can hand this dice and I move up 1 on this chart. If I get to 5 ranks in that, I've taken over this planet. But I only have 4 dice. So you spend them all. The other person uses their culture, and they're tied with you the whole time. Their turn, they roll the dice, get that icon. You don't have any culture to spend. They take it. So you kind of hand them the planet. Yeah. So there's a little bit of kind of looking at your opponents in a very small thing. It's not every single action that you're worried about what people are doing, but in certain specific instances, you have to kind of pay attention to this other person's on this planet with me. What's their what stats are they at right now? Okay, I have to kind of play a little bit around that, which turned it from, which was my very first instinct with the game, like, oh, this looks very kind of you're just playing yourself, to no, there's a ton of interaction, all because of that follow mechanic. I think that's what takes the game up to like a game level to me.
Yeah, it has that follow mechanic, which is awesome. Kind of like, was it Eminent Domain has that?
Yeah.
Well, similar. And then, but it also has the vying for planets, the racing to get a planet. But what I really like is, for such a little simple, well, kind of simple game, not really that simple, but for an easy to learn game, that small box, there's a lot of different strategies you can pursue. Like the last time...
It's good to know.
The last time we played, I had a secret objective, which you all get one, that kind of gives you bonus points at the end of the game if you achieve it. And mine was all about having the most planets. So I pursued a just gobble up the little planets strategy, which is not really one I have done in this game before. And it was fun. It was neat because it was different than when I've played it before. And so I think it has a lot of little strategies, and you can kind of metagame based on what your opponents are doing and what your objectives are and what planets are coming out.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. At the very beginning of the game, you're handed 2 objectives and you get to pick one. And that really does kind of drive you for that game. And there's a lot of games that have like an objective card, which is like one more component to it. And that's how this is also. But in the game, this game is a very tight game. And usually it's those objective cards, I feel, that win you the game.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of racing to the 21 victory points, which ends the game, and then having your objective card to get you your points. Because there's a lot of times where someone's at 19, you're like, oh, I don't have my objective yet. The objectives usually give you between 2 to 3, maybe 4 points. So you're like, oh, that's really tight. If I finish the game right now, I'll be winning. But and so that's how I feel almost every game we play. Very rarely does someone have like 3 points that someone else have the 21 required at the end of the
Right,
game.
yeah.
And I think that's the other thing about it is that it's always tight. I never feel like, even when we play with someone new, I don't feel like anyone's ever just like, I don't know what's going on, or I'm left behind. You guys are too good. Maybe
Right.
we're not good enough to sweep the game with other people, but I think it's a good design aspect of the game itself.
Yeah.
So those are things we played last month. What are some things you're thinking you want to play in the future?
Ooh, so we played a game one time months ago that I'd like to play again, and it was called Kingsport Festival. It is kind of a retheming, reskinning of Kingsburg. It's a like dice allocation game where you roll dice and you put them on cards or tiles to activate abilities. And this one, Kingsport Festival, is a Lovecraftian themed game. I understand. I haven't actually played Kingsburg.
I have not either.
But from what I understand, the basic engine's very similar, but how you move around the board and what you're doing with the dice is a little different. So you have all these Cthulhu Mythos deity cards out, and you roll your dice, and you take turns assigning them to deities, which will give you like resources or actions to take. And then there's a map of Kingsport, and you're trying to spread your influence around the map because you're cultists, basically, trying to wreck shop in this town. And at the same time, there are points in the game, was it like 3 times, I think, where wily investigators show up and pose a threat to you evil cultists. And so you have to be prepared to fight them off. And if you're not, you lose stuff. So it's kind of cool because it is a little bit, you're playing your own game, but you are sort of competing over which deities to activate and which tiles to move to and prepping for the investigator attacks. So I kind of enjoyed it, and I'd like to play that one again.
For me, I think I'm excited about playing again, and because I haven't played the final version of it yet, is Vast, what used to be Trove.
Yeah.
We did a kind of like a Kickstarter preview for it. We played it quite a bit then. It's gone through a lot of iterations. It's finally been out to print, and his last email said that the US backer stuff's finally here and it's going to start shipping out. I think he's going to have it at Gen Con.
Yeah, they're going to have a booth at Gen Con, I believe.
So we're going to be getting that soon, and I want to crack it open, and because I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen the final edition of it. I want to touch all the little components, and I want to see the tweaks and improvements they made to it. It's something that we had a lot of fun when we were playing it.
Yeah.
It was all like handmade components, print and play at the time. So getting the actual final copy I'm getting pretty excited about it right now.
Yeah, that is exciting because the guys behind it, Patrick, David, and Kyle, are really good guys. We met a couple of them at Gen Con the time we got to go. Got to demo it there too, which was really neat. And to see it go all the way from their sort of print and play beta and all these different revisions and trying to get it to different communities to test it, to now they've fulfilled their Kickstarter and they're going to Gen Con with a booth. That's super cool.
It reminds me of another game that I really like, Sentinels of the Multiverse, because they had kind of that same thing where they did like an early thing, they got it out. I mean, a lot of games do that now where they release it at Gen Con, but it has that same type of like tight community I feel around the game where people are really interested in it because the theme itself isn't original, the dungeon delve, but how it's handled. Mm-hmm. The fact that you're actually playing the 4 different, like either the cave, the dragon, the hero, or the goblins, it's something that you don't normally see, and it has, because of that, like not isometric. What am I trying to say? Asymmetric. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm having trouble today. Play, and it's unique.
Yeah, very unique.
For this next segment, we're going to calm it down a little bit. There's some stuff that involves gaming that we feel like maybe we should talk about more. Matt has a topic he wants to bring up. Matt, what does he want to bring to the floor today?
Well, there is nothing, I think, more serious in any gamer's daily agenda than what they're going to eat while they're playing games.
Important.
So what I'd like to talk about is, what's your favorite gaming snack and why? Shall I begin?
Sure.
All right.
We have him here. That's good.
I'm here to present the king of all gaming snacks, the circus animal.
They are
pink
delicious.
or white, covered in sprinkles. They're a delightful, compact, sweet, crunchy little bang for your buck. I like them especially because you can just pop them in your mouth.
They're not messy. They don't leave stuff everywhere.
You don't have time enough for it to melt. It's got, pseudo Soviet tech frosting on it. It's not going to melt right away. It does have sprinkles. You don't usually get too many sprinkles. But it's a good blend. Throws you back to your old childhood days. And it can kind of give you that sugar fuel to keep going through a game. Some people are going to tell you that, the classic gaming cookie is like a Milano. That's for a gaming snob. Plus, it's going to get crumbs everywhere.
These are one bite.
Milanos aren't going to go straight in your mouth like these are, unless you have a giant mouth. Other people are going to go for the very common Oreo or Chips Ahoy. No, because your wife's just going to eat all those the day before your gaming group comes over, and you're going to be mad. Circus animals, loved by gamers, abhorred by other people. I think they're the ideal treat. How about you?
Well, I go a little slightly different route. I usually don't like to eat a lot when we're gaming because messiness. These are great for that. It's one that they don't leave crumbs everywhere. I usually try not to have too many sugary snacks because I'm usually drinking sodas when we're playing. And sodas and frosting cookies or sodas and cookies, just after a while, you start getting that sick hyper feeling. So I'm gonna go in a different direction, and I'm gonna go with the most important snack, and that's the beef stick or any type of jerky, really. They're protein, so they're healthy. I don't care what you say; these things are incredibly healthy for you. They're the same way. They're clean. You can just suck on one like a cigarette for the whole night if you want to, slowly chew it down. And importantly, it doesn't give me that I've ingested way too much sugar today feeling. And it's something that I usually just can keep this in the game room. It doesn't need refrigeration. A week from now, these are still going to be good. If someone leaves the lid off of them, it doesn't ruin them. All sorts of important things for the lazy gamer snack to me is the fact that you just leave them around. Everyone's like, oh, beef sticks, really? Everyone eats them though. I mean, obviously Matt's liking his cookies, but if these were sitting out, he'd eventually have one or two.
I might dabble.
So, for me, it's the super healthy snack, see? All those oils and fats are good for your heart. That's what I guess I'd go for. And it's a new addition. I just recently bought these, really. And to me, they completely changed how I feel about, the snack thing. We've always done chips, cookies, sodas. And like I said, usually by the end of the night, I just feel way over sugar and way over carb loaded. Something about these, just it's good. You can just kind of eat it. Like I said, if it doesn't leave residue everywhere, it's not messy like chips. I don't know. To me, this is a kind of I've known what a beef stick is for a while, but it's a new thing in terms of gamer tech for me that I found that I really appreciate and I really like.
Plus, if you go with the small stuff like your Reese's Pieces or M&Ms, and people are always wanting to use them as pieces in games and resources and crap, and no, they're there to be eaten.
And that does though give me a flip I've discovered. We've been doing some D&D lately, and we've been using Starbursts as monsters on the grid. And it's been this hilarious thing of people wanting to go kill a monster to get their Starburst type of a thing. So it added an extra level of fun to it. That's an extra little. It's a tech thing for if you're doing the D&D or other role playing game.
That's very Instead of bloodlust, it's candy lust.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
All right. Is there any other snacks you want to tell us about?
No, it begins and ends with circus animals.
Okay,
they are the alpha and the omega.
I guess it's time to go on to the news. This just in, news on board games. Matt?
Thank you, William. We have a lot of news today, and I had to kind of self-edit because there's a ton of stuff going on, especially with, Gen Con coming up soon. Origins just wrapped up. You got the Spiel Des Jahres, all kinds of stuff going on. It's like the season for gaming releases and gaming news.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to distill it down to some of the cool stuff. So let's start with that Spiel Des Jahres. So the Spiel Des Jahres awards were presented. Two big categories I'm going to talk about. The actual Spiel des Jahres, which is the winner of sort of a family-friendly game of the year award.
Okay.
And this year that went to Codenames from Czech Games. We've played it a bunch.
Yep.
It's super popular. It had a great year. Like, you hear about it all the time. And apparently there's a new edition of it coming out, which will be Codenames Pictures. So instead of words on the cards, they'll just be images.
That could be cool.
Could be cool. I like the old one, but we'll see. We'll see. And Codenames is a totally awesome game, and you can play it with a wide, variety of people. Family, friends. It could be party setting. It could be just part of a serious game night as well. I mean, yeah, it's a really solid game. I totally get why it won.
Yeah, it bridges that gap, right? Like, I know that there's a lot of party game stuff that I don't feel like when you start getting into the charades or some of the trivia or just some of that stuff, it leans too much on certain skills that maybe I don't feel comfortable using. And the good thing about Codenames is you need two people to be good callers in the game, to basically be the spy masters, and everyone else just plays. Yep. And you contribute as much as you can, and there isn't a lot of spotlight put on people who feel uncomfortable. So it's a social game that literally anybody can play.
Yep. Good way to sum it up. So the other award that goes hand in hand with the Spiel des Jahres is the Kennerspiel. And this is, you maybe describe as the gamer's game of the year. So it's a more complicated games, more strategic games. And this year it went to a game called Isle of Skye from Mayfair Games. Never played it.
Yeah.
Didn't know really much about it until I started reading about it. Isle of Skye is a tile laying game. Players are chieftains trying to build up their kingdom and score as many points as possible. Did you know that?
No, that sounds interesting. Yeah.
I know Isle of Skye is like a Scottish island, I believe. So I assume we're like, Dark Ages Scottish chieftains or something. Cool. Pictures of it remind me a lot of old school Euros. Kind of the Agricola, Settlers of Catan kind of look. Definitely. And it's from Mayfair, who they put out great games, but their components and their art always seems to be
not the focus
from 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, they never seem to want to move to that next level. But that's cool. I still want to try it. I mean, if it won a prestigious award like that, it's probably pretty cool. All right, let's do some Fantasy Flight games.
Ooh.
Big old Fantasy Flight. They announced Game of Thrones, The Iron Throne. Game of Thrones, The Iron Throne. Because these days, when you make a game, it has to be something, something else.
Well, and especially with certain IPs, right? Like when it comes to Game of Thrones, how many Game of Thrones games have there been? Quite a few.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on like the third version of the card game. There's been multiple versions of like the Risk style game.
True.
I'm sure there's probably a charades or something of it, and all sorts of stuff. What's this one about?
So this one's for 3 to 5 players, and it is based on the Cosmic Encounters engine. So players command the great houses of Westeros, committing famous characters to battles and schemes. So basically, if you've played Cosmic Encounter, it's a big-time negotiation game where you do attack other players, but most of your chance at victory relies on cooperation from other players. So there's a lot of diplomacy, a lot of negotiation, and there's some backstabbing and stuff. But you think about it, you take out all the aliens and crap from Cosmic Encounter, that does make a lot of sense for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, if you place, because it uses like little flying saucers and markers, if you think of it more abstractly as just political power.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And if you go on their website, you can see a lot of the art and stuff for it. It is a TV show IP this time.
Oh, so it's using all the
images from the show. Their board game, Game of Thrones board game, which is the big strategic one with the giant map of Westeros, that one is like just art, real nice art. This is actual images from the show.
This is the first one of those things that's like that, right? They've done for.
I think from Fantasy Flight, yes.
Because all the card game itself, it also is book driven.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other games. There's been a ton of everything else. Yeah, it just feels like it's all been art.
Right.
So this is going to be like screen captures. This is going to be like some of the old Star Wars card games.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks cool. Cosmic Encounters is a classic game. This is probably going to be pretty neat. So another one from Fantasy Flight. Star Wars Armada, the Corellian Conflict Campaign Expansion. So not only does it have a colon, it may have the longest game name ever.
I heard campaign in there.
Yes. So Fantasy Flight's Star Wars Armada game. This is their Star Wars IP game where you're reenacting battles between the big capital ships from Star Wars. We did a little video about it.
Yeah. Fun game.
Mm-hmm. And it has some awesome, cool capital ship miniatures and cool little fighter squadron miniatures, and it's pretty neat. It's mostly a 2-player game. So this is, well, I'll tell you. You will be able to wage strategic battles for key hyperlane routes, seize vital shipyards, establish new bases, and decide the fate of the Corellian sector. Introduces new objective and squadron cards for use both in your campaign and in standard play. So it's basically a box rule set meant to allow you to play out multiple battles in a strategic war in the Corellian sector and fight a long campaign that way.
Okay, that sounds pretty neat.
It's a really neat idea. It doesn't have anything, like there are no ships or anything in this one.
So it's rules for that.
It's rules and tokens and cards. So, if you're not going to get new ships, but it does look neat. If you're really into Armada and you got a buddy that'll play it with you regularly, this could be a really neat enhancement to the whole thing.
But it seems like it can give you more life to the game too, because the ships are neat and everything. I don't know how. I know X-Wing was very popular.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as strong as ENSP, but I think it's still a very popular game.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how Armada's doing comparatively? Like, is it?
I don't think it's selling like X-Wing, but I think it was a good release for them. I think it's strong.
So I'm wondering if this is like them taking it that next level away from X-Wing. Because they don't have a campaign for X-Wing, right? It's only for
not that I know. They have like tournament scenarios or something, but yeah.
So maybe this is doing what they did to Descent, that they added the campaign level to it, completely changed how the game played, and to me, like made that game better. So I'm hoping that this will like add new life to it, maybe make the game come to the table more for us in the future.
That would be cool. All right, so some news from Asmodee, Fantasy Flight's parent company. I think we're allowed to call it that now. They have recently indicated their intentions to purchase F2Z Games. Now, if you've never heard of F2Z Games, that's okay. But you will have heard of Pandemic, and they are the publishers of Pandemic. So that's their big hallmark game. But recently, they also acquired Plaid Hat Games, which was a big acquisition. Plaid Hat of, Ashes, Mice and Mystics, Specter Ops. What's the zombie one?
Zombicide?
No. The co-op zombie game.
Oh, Dead of Winter?
Dead of Winter. And the old card Magic Wizard battling game.
Mage Wars?
Summer.
That mage game.
That mage game with the cards. Anyway, Plaid Hat's a big deal. And F2Z bought them, which was a big deal. And now Asmodee wants to eat them, which is a bigger deal. And just as a reminder, Asmodee owns Fantasy Flight Games, and they also own or control. They don't own Mayfair, but they control the rights to Settlers of Catan now. Took that or bought that from Mayfair. So Asmodee is like easily, I'd say after Hasbro, the biggest player in the board game or the tabletop gaming world now. I mean, easily. They just seem to want to keep acquiring things. At some point, I think we're going to have a video, maybe a couple years from now, where we're discussing, is this really a good thing?
Well, yeah, I was going to bring that up right now. Like, is it? I think there's two ways to look at it, right? It's like, oh no, it's all going to be one big, huge, mega corporation that's controlling everything and it's going to ruin everything. But I still feel like board games right now and for the foreseeable future are still going to be niche. It's still going to be something that it's not going to be like Disney or something buying it. Right? It's not some big. Like, it's a company that was already in the industry that's just acquiring more. And I think that stability in the industry can be good, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see if eventually, if every single company out there is owned by them, and every time a new indie publisher comes out, that they either get swallowed up or no one likes their stuff because they don't have that level of quality, or whatever, I could see it causing a problem.
Yeah, I feel like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
At the very least. All right, let's talk about some Kickstarter stuff.
Ooh.
Kickstarter is rocking as always. First up, we have Dreadball Season 2. This is from Mantic Games. This is like their big property, I think I would say, because most of what Mantic does is sell, no offense Mantic, knockoff miniatures to Warhammer Fantasy players. They sell cheaper game miniatures that can be used by Warhammer Fantasy players. But they came out with this Dreadball game, and it was pretty successful, and now they're doing Season 2.
Yeah, when was Dreadball? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. So this is their miniature-driven ball game for 2 players. It's a sci-fi setting. It's kind of, think Blood Bowl, but with robots. Kind of what the feel of it is. And if you're into painting miniatures and stuff, you can make this game look really good. But it's not really my thing. But it's out there.
It's someone's thing, and that's cool.
Now this next one I'm actually kind of interested in. Armored Core RTS. So Armored Core, I guess, is an RTS video game that I've never played.
I don't think it's an. I haven't played it. I played something involving it like a million years ago, but I don't remember it being completely an RTS.
So this is, but as a board game. They're kickstarting it. Just a little summary. A real-time strategy board game where all players pilot mechs, fire weapons, activate equipment, and direct support troops simultaneously, featuring unique components like LED pointers built into each miniature's base to provide instantaneous line of sight, as well as physical buildings to provide cover and rooftop level. So I looked at their pictures, and it does look sweet. There's some beautiful, sort of futuristic military miniatures that come with this game. The board's really cool. It has lots of little building structures on it. And then they have a video. If you go check out their Kickstarter, we can watch. And sure enough, as they're moving around, they're kind of, I don't know if they're pushing down on the miniature or something on the base, but there's this light coming out. And that's, I guess, how they're using their checking for line of sight.
Are they doing, does it look like it's tape measure driven, or is it like grid driven?
No, it's like a grid or hex, yeah. But it looked nice. The production value looks really good. I don't know how the play is going to be, but the production value looks really good.
So is it all pre-painted stuff then?
No, you got to paint them.
It still has that.
But I would probably play this because the miniatures look really good and the board's really colorful. I easily can play this without painting it. I would. All right, next one is Fate of the Elder Gods. It's a wicked game for 1 to 4 players of summoning supernatural evil in 60 to 90 minutes. This is from Richard Launius, Daryl Lauder, and Chris Kirkman. And forgive me on 2 of those, but Richard Launius is a well-known game designer, Arkham Horror fame, I believe. Basically, you're all playing a cult competing to be the first to summon their god, but you also must repel intrepid investigators working to seal off the gate to beyond with elder signs. You gather arcane artifacts, cast powerful spells, embrace the dark gift of your elder god, and you want to be the first to awaken your dread master before it's too late.
Sounds kind of King's.
It does sound very Kingsport. If you look at the art and the board and stuff, it's obviously not Kingsport, but the theme and the feel does.
They're both trying to achieve the same same feeling.
Yeah, evil cultists up to no good with investigators trying to ruin their day. So, but it's Lovecraftian, so it's hard to avoid that. Either you're the good guys or you're the bad guys, and the reverse is going to happen. But it piqued my interest, I have to admit. And this last one is Near and Far. This is the sequel to a very successful board game called Above and Below from Red Raven Games and Ryan Lockett. I'll just read it to you. Journey through a book of maps filled with amazing adventure and the storytelling sequel to Above and Below. In Near and Far, you and up to 3 friends each choose a character and set out on a journey, recruiting adventurers, managing resources, and completing quests in an effort to become the most storied traveler. So Ryan Lockett is a designer you may have heard of. 8-Minute Empire, City of Iron, Ancient World are among his big titles, as well as Above and Below. we played Ancient World. I've heard nothing but good things about Above and Below. We played 8 Minute Empire as well. The thing with Ryan Lockett that I think is really cool is not only is he a good game designer who puts out good games, he does all the artwork and layout for his games. He's
the whole package.
He's a one-stop shop.
Triple threat.
He does the whole thing, and I really like his art. It's got kind of this soft, I don't want to say fairy tale, but well, definitely the Above and Below and Near and Far have kind of a fairy tale feel. But he's a real tight artist and a really good game designer. I predict this because the last one was really successful. He's put out some really good games. I'm thinking this one's gonna do really well.
Well, it sounds like it's taking the part that really made Above and Below special, which was that below part where you're kind of going on adventures, and like they fleshed it out near and far. They fleshed it out left to right instead of up and down. So yeah, it sounds like it could be really cool.
Yeah. And lastly, we're recording this very close to the beginning of Gen Con. We'll come back in our next episode and probably kind of try to absorb all the data we've skimmed from Gen Con because we're not going this year, unfortunately. And report on the cool parts of that. But otherwise, that's the news.
All right, we're going to wrap up this episode with a little bit of talk of stuff outside of gaming directly. I think we maybe start doing this a little bit more. Movies, video games, posters we've seen, all that type of stuff.
Cool stuff.
So I know you've been playing some new video games.
Yeah.
I've actually watched a few movies that I missed here a few years ago, or over the last year. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to start out with some insight. So, I've watched 2 like robot cyborg style movies over the last couple weeks. One is the ever amazing Terminator Genesis. Yes. The other one is Ex Machina.
That's a big span.
Yeah, I try to hit both ends of the spectrum. So I'm going to get a quickie review. I'm sure a lot of people have stuff on this. Terminator Genesis, cheesy, but a lot better than you think. Wasn't the best movie, but it wasn't horrible. It had some cool stuff where they're going, the whole point of it was they went back in time to try to, time travel, right? They go back in time and time's different. So now they're going back, they're traveling forward back through time, trying to stop Cyberdyne, I think is what it's called, from being created again. It just has this continuous twists of, okay, they've gone back to 79, whatever the original Terminator was.
Oh, it was like 82.
82. And everything's different. Like the Terminators went even further back, and Sarah Connor knows everything. So her and Kyle Reese, Kyle Reese is the one at the disadvantage, not her. She's already the bad arse. And then from there they go forward in time to basically present day and are trying to stop the actual apocalypse from happening. And so there's still lots of Terminators, and there's the T-1000s and the 80s time period one. Everything's just all messed up. So it's, if you're looking at it as trying to fix the series, it doesn't do that. But it's a good homage to itself, basically, and I had fun with it, though it was pretty campy. They managed to sneak in an "I'll be back" line, and it's I think it's even in a lot of the trailers, but it's actually it's funny because he says "I'll be back," and she's like Sarah Connor's what? And because it doesn't really fit the current situation, and then he jumps out of something.
Now,
and
who's doing the time traveling?
So Kyle Reese, it starts in the future, basically when they send Kyle back. And they send Kyle Reese back to, basically it's the beginning of the first Terminator. But when he shows up, a T-1000's there and tries to attack him, and he runs away, and he ends up, stealing his clothes and doing all this stuff, and he thinks he's about ready to get killed, and then Sarah Connor comes crashing in a truck, and come with me if you want to live, let's go. So they flip basically the roles, because another Arnold Schwarzenegger-style Terminator was, teleported back to when she was a kid. So she spent her whole life being raised by a Terminator, basically. By a good Terminator. So she's already combat trained, basically. And then they've been spending this whole time building a time machine to try to hop forward to when they think that the computers are going to take over. And through crazy logic, they figure out what time it is, and they jump forward to that, and they fight stuff. It sounds ridiculous. It was one of those turn the critical thinking part of your brain off type movies, but I enjoyed it. It was fun.
That is a definition of why I don't like most time travel stuff.
Oh yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense, and it definitely had the closed loop of, stuff happened because of what had happened, and things that change in the past and the future don't directly, well, you're from the future, but now you were never born. Well, that's fine. I'm still here now, so it doesn't there's no like Back to the Future people disappearing or anything like that.
How are they not constantly just one-upping themselves through eternity?
That's kind of what they imply is happened, is that the computers keep like going, oh, well, you blew us up. Okay, well, then let me send this thing back even further, or let me do that. So, yeah, it's basically, again, they one-upped each other, and it leaves it, like, it closes it, but of course, they can already make $1 million more. But I don't think it was that well received, so it's probably not going to. The other one is Ex Machina, which really it's not about, it's a drama, right? It's not an action gun fest like Terminator is. It's really more about artificial intelligence and what it says about us and what it says about it when it becomes self-aware. The whole thing is a guy doing the Turing test on an android. So he's trying to talk to a robot and figure out if it's self-aware or not. And then you've seen this in trailers. Basically what it is you kind of have to deal with the fact is, okay, what if this robot is self-aware? You've now created life and locked it in a cage and you're testing it. That's like, if we were doing that to a human, you think it was horrible. And it's that kind of mindset of like, oh my God, this is a thinking living creature. It's not even malevolent. It's not even evil. It's just this thing we've locked in a box and we're poking to see how it works. And yeah, so it's a movie that when you get done, you're kind of like, I'm like, normally you're scared of the AI in these stories. And in this one, I wouldn't say I necessarily feel sorry for it directly, but I just feel like, oh, we're going to screw that up too as humans. That's kind of what they do. So both were interesting in their own way. Terminator, if you want to eat pop, it's the popcorn movie type thing, and I think it was better than what people gave it for, but still not an amazing movie. Ex Machina is definitely, it's more of an indie drama, it's way more of a slow burn, but I enjoyed both of them for completely different reasons.
Ex Machina has Poe Dameron in it, though.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, and he is not the nicest of people, but he's a smart guy that makes an android that's self-aware. So there you go.
Cool. I do want to see that movie, Terminator Genesis.
Oh, I thought you meant Terminator.
No. Ex Machina, I think I do want to see though. All right, well, let's see. I'm going to talk about a couple video game diversions that I've been embarking on. The first one is Overwatch, Blizzard's new team-based first-person shooter arena combat game. If you've never heard of Overwatch, what the heck, man? It's pretty hot right now. It's kind of a spiritual successor to Team Fortress or Team Fortress 2, I guess, where you have two teams fighting each other, and you can pick unique characters who all have very specific different roles on the team. So you got some tank characters, you got some support characters, or like your healers or your buffers. You got snipers, you got straight up fighty guys, you got close range guys, you got medium range guys. And the nice thing about that is there's multiple different ones to select from in each of those sort of categories. So you might have in the offensive guys, you got a guy like this Soldier 76 who's like the grizzled veteran dude, and if you play a lot of first-person shooters, you play this. He's the only one that really plays like a traditional first-person shooter soldier does. For instance, every guy has special moves that are different. If you're playing console like me, different buttons on the controller. One of his is a run, because nobody else just can run. They all walk at different speeds, and it seems to be sort of a balancing mechanism they use in the game. For instance, the sniper lady is really slow. But this guy, his special ability is he can run, so he's running out there. He's got a very stable gun. It's not a lot of kick to it. He can hold your aim really well, and then it has a little like grenade launcher, rocket blaster thing he can do. That's his long range shot. And then he has a little mini healing pack that he can drop down that heals people in a radius for a short amount of time. So he's very much the classic, I think, first-person shooter kind of guy. Then you flip around to, you've got a giant cyber ape who has an electric gun, and he makes huge dome force fields, and goes berserk and turns bright red and hulks out on people. So you're all over the place with your hero selection. And then you're fighting in arenas, not really arenas, they call them that because they're kind of small maps, closed maps. And your missions are usually head-to-head fight over control point type battles or escort missions where one team is trying to get something through a path to a destination while the other team's trying to stop them. Very simple. I mean, if you're big into the more complex mission shooter games, it may not rub you the right way, but man, the gameplay is fast and furious. The team synergy that you can build is really fun, and I like it because I'm not really like I don't play MMOs. I don't like to organize play when I'm playing a video game. I don't like to okay, let's all get on at this time and we'll all know each other and so we'll crush. In this game you don't have to know all the people. You can jump into a team, and as long as everyone is thinking about the synergy of the different character abilities, you can make really solid teams. Really neat that way.
Does it get weird though? Like everyone picks a tank or something, and then
that does happen. And in fact, though, there's two modes to play now. The quick play, which is you just jump into a game and go, and there's ranked play. And ranked play comes with a lot more seriousness to it. Like if you leave ranked play, you get penalized, and if your team loses, your rank gets lowered. And you don't just play one quick game, you play matches of games. And so it's a lot more serious. But in the quick play, you do see that where, oh man, half my team are giant angry gorillas. Or there's this thing that people will do where when you're all selecting your characters, when you select your character, it flashes for a second, it makes a noise. And they'll just do that repeatedly, so it's flashing, 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 flashing. And that's their way of telling you, hey, I'm the ninja. I want everyone to be the ninja. Do everyone be the ninja. And the next thing you know, a guy next to him picks the ninja. And now 2 ninjas are flashing, and then 3, and then the whole team is ninjas. But that's actually kind of fun, too, for a little while. I get tired of it after a while. But a little while when you're all, the dwarf building cannons, because there's a dwarf that builds cannons, all on one team. That's kind of funny to me. But no, the art style is really cool. They also have some fantastic videos on YouTube for the game that flesh out the story behind the game, and they made them like mini Pixar movies. They're beautiful. They look great. Blizzard, like their quality is top notch. They take forever to put stuff out, but when they do it right. So that's Overwatch. Have a ton of fun with that one. The other one I want to talk about, jumped on the bandwagon with Pokemon Go. I was trying to remember the other day. I don't think I've ever actually played a game of Pokemon the card game in my life. Somehow I missed it. And I never really played Pokemon on like Game Boys or anything like that either.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where it all started from, right? Yeah.
But, I got it so convenient with phones, I got the app on my phone. I don't even care about the backstory. I just want to walk around and catch Pokemon. So if you don't know, Pokemon Go is the new phone app version of Pokemon.
I think they know, but go ahead. Yeah.
And you walk around. It uses Google Maps to show you your surroundings. It's a map, and your little dude's walking around on the map, and Pokemon will pop up, and you can flick on your screen of your phone and throw balls at them and try to catch them. And you're collecting them. You keep a collection of them. You can evolve them by feeding them candy and stardust. Like I said, I don't really care about the backstory. I just want to catch all the Pokemon. But it's really cool because I've been out walking, and I'm walking with my wife, and we think about like all the time, like, oh, we should go here and try this. And the first week it came out, when everyone was just crazy about it, we would go out at night and literally see dozens of people in areas with their phones looking for Pokemon. And you would get these weird situations where, like, we were walking by this cafe and there was people sitting outside at the cafe. And I was telling my wife about how I found a Pikachu at a nearby high school. and people from 2 different tables sitting outside at that cafe were like, Pikachu? Excuse me, did you say a Pikachu? Where did you see the Pikachu? And it's like, that's so cool to me. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if people did that with, Puerto Rico or X-Wing, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you say you saw a Y-Wing for sale? Blah, blah, anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Like, people are out there, maybe they're not being super social because they're looking at their phone, but they're outdoors, for crying out loud, and they're, in a lot of cases, going places they don't normally go, which I think makes it really neat. Now, I know there's all the rumors about people getting robbed at Pokestops and things like that. I think some of that's a little urban mythy.
And that also happens regardless. So
Yeah.
whether or not Pokemon's involved,
Yeah,
bad things are going to happen. Yeah.
So I would say if you have a smartphone, and even if you're not into Pokemon, but you like playing games, maybe you're looking for something to do with your kid or your spouse outdoors, then maybe give Pokemon a try. It's pretty fun.
Well, there's all this video game talk made me think about something I've been playing recently called Salt and Sanctuary.
Oh, yeah.
If I don't know who out there, if you guys play Dark Souls or not, the way it was sold to me, and it's very true, is it's a side-scrolling Dark Souls. It's a very simple little platforming combat game that you're continuously leveling up, you're fighting deeper and deeper in, but when you die, all this, like salt instead of souls in this one, all the experience you've gained is stuck with the monster that killed you, and that monster's tougher to beat. And you go back to like a save point, basically, and you have to run your way back up there, fight your way all the way back to get your experience back. It's a slow level up, but there's lots of leveling up and options. You can complete, it's punishing the fact that it lets you actually design your character the way you want, and you can mess yourself up. So you can, well, I want to dabble in this and not be good at anything, or you can, like, I've played it a ton, so you can play with, like, little dagger characters, and you're really awesome and fast and jumping everywhere, but you don't do any damage, or you can play with the big old hammers, or you could be a spellcaster. There's all these options for it, and as the game goes on, the platforming aspects start getting more. You start getting double jumps and dashes and wall jumps, and the game slowly transforms from this like really simple, straightforward, but kind of gritty brawler side-scroller fighter to actually like more like the Mega Man style of jumping off of walls. You have to pull out a torch and like light make certain walls appear, and you're doing all sorts of different things, and it kept stepping up the game for me. And the whole time also there's the level up aspect of it, which is what I love the most. I mean, I played like Diablo 1 and 2 and 3 a bunch for those first levels because I like the tech trees and trying to figure this stuff out. And that this game has a big old sphere grid where you're going off in different directions to learn different skills. There's just a lot of depth to it. It wasn't too expensive, and I think if you just play it straight through, it's like a 6 or 7 hour game. But I've put in probably 60 hours in it, just playing it again and again and again and enjoying it. So it's something I recommend. It probably doesn't have the social component that Pokemon Go has, but you can actually play it cooperative, which was interesting to me. In a lot of those games, you can't. This one, you can actually sit down side by side, same system, same computer, and play with a friend.
Same computer.
Yeah. Me and one of my friends, we used Xbox controllers, but we plugged in 2 controllers, played at the same time, same computer, side by side. In fact, I don't think it even has an online component. It only has, like, on the same screen. You can't, like, it's kind of funny because you can actually, the lead character can run off and leave you if he absolutely wants to. So there's been times where we're like, okay, I'm going to stay in this base, you run off over here, and then I'll call you back if you need to. So we're kind of like trying to trick the system to do something. It was fun. There's a lot of options in it. I would suggest to give it a try.
So does it scale up when you put in 2 players?
Yes, most definitely. The bosses are all harder, but all the monsters are slightly harder. It's the type of game where it's like if you play Dark Souls, there's all these boss fights, and they all have kind of like patterns you're learning. Yeah. When you have 2 people in, it disrupts that pattern, and it makes it way harder. Because normally you're like, okay, he's going to do this, the dragon's going to fly over, breathe fire. Yeah. But now there's 2 people. So now the dragon's kind of switching between you, and you're like, oh, this is super random, and I don't know. Like, it pumps up the difficulty just because you can't, read them as easily, too, which it makes it more fun.
Very cool.
I think that's all of our topics for today.
Yeah, we ran out.
Woo, which is good because, you know what, it is hot in this room.
It's very hot here.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody here else lives in the valley here in Fresno, but it's, 240 degrees today, I think, is what?
210. Maybe.
210? Okay. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, click all the things, follow us on the tweets, and all the things. Well, yeah, they're down below. You know what to do. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do now?